he was like some old guy that was talking about gold and silver, and he always talks about crypto as unicorn fart dust. He that's what he always said. And I don't know if it was him that set it up or someone else. I think it was him. He set it up himself. He figured out how to create it. And supposedly, this is what he says, or this is what I heard, is that he set it up to show that crypto is just unicorn fart dust and absolute nonsense. And I think it ended up going, I don't know how much, like 500 billion was the market cap at one stage.
500
And
what?
500 billion.
What?
So,
Unicorn fart dust?
yeah,
It's a
something
coin,
like
is
that.
it?
But this was in peak. I don't know when this. I think this was when Trump came in. So it was
Right.
before the Trump coin happened in
Okay.
January. It was before the big Trump pump and dump. But it was when this was the peak euphoria of the crypto, like fart coin, all of these other
Yep.
random meme coins were going crazy. But anyway, my point was is that I don't know how much he had. It obviously went up to something like, it went up way more than what he thought, and he sold half because he was like, I can't believe it. Like, he was like, I can't believe what is happening. He was like, I just still think it's unicorn fart dust. So he sold half and actually got some like real dollars. Don't know how much, maybe like 10 grand or something. But this is literally from nothing. And within probably like a month that happened. But if he held on to it and sold it at like the peak, it was going to be worth, I don't know, it would have been millions that he owned, because he didn't own all of it. He owned a certain percent. I don't really know how it all works. But anyway, he got scammed. And so I shouldn't laugh. He got scammed and someone took all of his, so he had like
It
over a million
took his
still.
unicorn fart dust coin.
Yeah, even though he sold half, he still had like well over $1 million worth of it. Don't know why he didn't just sell it. I think he'd convinced himself that it was worth something. This was the whole meme coin thing. It was like, it's the community and you're building the community and that's worth something.
And the
And
hype. And,
it's the
yeah.
people behind it that makes it worth something. Anyway, someone sent him a dodgy link. He clicked on it and lost all of his unicorn fart dust, like worth over $1 million. And then there was like a GoFund. Basic. That's what I was thinking of. There was basically like a GoFundMe page for him to try and give him unicorn fart, because he was the one that was like making videos about this every day and being like, it's really worth something, all this. And I don't know. He obviously got swept up in all the hype. I wonder what his take is on it now. I haven't really seen.
It's certainly like a weird phenomena, the whole meme coin thing, because I remember I was watching a Andreas Antonopoulos talk from like over 10 years ago, and he was
On
talking
Joe
about,
Rogan.
it might have been, yeah, and he was talking about how like you could create like Mike coin, and
Yeah, I
if
heard
you
this
get
on the Joe Rogan podcast
yeah,
that you
he was
recommend.
like,
He
oh,
said,
you're
Joe,
having a
you could
birthday.
create this. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like everything would be tokenized. You could create your own coin, or you're having a birthday party, you can create a, a coin for that particular event and this kind of stuff. And this is what this whole meme coin culture is. It's like a tokenized. I mean, I still don't quite get it, but it's certainly nothing. It's nothing to do with Bitcoin. Like it's it's so far away from Bitcoin that it just noises up. You know,
So yeah, I mean, I think I've said this to you probably before, but like I can see how there could be a use case with it. At the minute, there is no
what
real use case with it.
I can't like what
Well,
outside of it
say you're
like
like Justin Bieber and you
yeah
had Justin Bieber coins,
yeah
then if you had X amount of Justin Bieber coins, it's the same as like Avios points or
right.
Sainsbury's tokens. That's how I see it being used eventually, sort of thing. Is that, if you've got Justin Bieber coin, then you get, I don't know, what you probably have better analogies to say from like being in the music industry, like backstage access. I don't know what some
Right.
like
So
things that you
you
could
get
give them.
benefits basically, like
Yeah, you could be close to the front or something, and so there's actual like physical real world benefits to owning this tokenized thing, sort of thing. But I don't know. I don't know exactly how that would work or if that's even possible, but that's my thinking that's my understanding of when Andreas was saying that to Joe Rogan. That's what he was basically saying, that you could have the Joe Rogan coin and you get early access to the podcast, or behind the
Right. Yeah.
scene
Yeah.
clips, or whatever it is. I don't know.
So like Nectar points at Sainsbury's, you could have Sainsbury's coin where you get like an extra 10% off if you use Sainsbury's coin.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, yeah. Like, if you go to Sainsbury's or Tesco's or whatever, if you've got a loyalty card, certain products are cheaper.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but that's what happens in there. And then you tap your card when you pay, and it gives you points, sort of thing. So it's that same principle. Again, I don't
Yeah.
know why.
whole-
I don't
yeah.
understand it all, but that's what I could see eventually, that sort of thing happening.
Yeah.
Like
There's
when
probably
you're at
something.
school or something, you have random little groups or things that people do, and you could just create this token and exchange it, kind of thing, for, I don't know why. Like, it's something that
Yeah.
I could see it being useful in certain communities or whatever, and I don't. But
Yeah, I don't quite get it yet. It's just outside of just like gambling and
that is all it's used for in a minute. That is 99.999% of all of meme coin uses at the minute. It's just gambling, and it's just that whole get rich quick. Put a
Yeah.
little bit in, you might get rich, and it's just people playing the lottery, people gambling on sports. It's just skyrocketing because people are feeling the pinch more and more. There is no other exit that normal people can see other than gamble your way out.
Yeah.
So that is, meme coins are just tapping into that.
Yeah. That's crazy.
It's a bit sad, really, but
Yeah.
it's just still so few people that really get Bitcoin and see it as, and it's obviously not a get rich quick thing. You can't put $1,000 into Bitcoin and within the next couple of months it'd be 100,000. That's not going to happen. Whereas that's the temptation with meme coins. It's like, that has happened. So if I just get the next one that does that, but I think more and more people have woken up to just the same with NFTs in the last cycle. I saw the exact same thing happen with NFTs. There was people that I knew wanting to buy pictures of monkeys or whatever and spending thousands of dollars on them. It's like, but why? I don't. It's just like, I don't understand. I was trying my hardest to understand it.
I remember at the time I was like, this is
And
nonsense.
I just could not understand, to the extent that there was like a group of people that were like, oh, if we all chip in, we can buy this Spider-Man. And I was like, what the fuck? I don't get. But I was like, do you know what? I'm going to do it. So I've got some skin in the game. It was the same way I learned about Bitcoin. I was like, this will help me to learn about it, surely. But it just then obviously died. This was probably right at the peak, and then became totally worthless. I was like, oh, that's why I couldn't get my head around it. It's just a scam. It's just
I remember
it's
at the
what
time
I always thought Bitcoin was when I first was getting into that as well.
I had a mate that was into it, and I was like, right, explain it to me. He was like, well, it's when the metaverse is around. Remember, this was time like Zuckerberg's metaverse,
and everyone was going to go on social media,
and it was like you will own like a part of that metaverse. I'm thinking, right, but I don't want that anyway. Like,
did you ever see Ready Player One?
Yeah,
that film.
Yeah,
that's what I was picturing at that time. I was like, this is happening. This is actually starting to happen. I was like, this is crazy. And I was thinking everyone's just gonna live on their VR headset and walk around and interact with people on social media, like they do in Ready Player One, rather than just texting people or whatever happens now. So this is what I was kind of like, this might be the future,
Yeah,
but maybe I've got to figure this out.
Didn't materialize, did it?
And then that was 2021. NFTs were the meme coins of this cycle, and meme coins now have just done the same thing. But then this is the thing, is that as soon as people figure out what NFTs are, and that they're just total worthless scam garbage, they don't come back to them. They don't figure this out and then go, oh, I can't wait to go and buy some NFTs again. And it's the same thing that's happened with meme coins this time. And this is a big part of the whole Knots core spam on the chain sort of stuff. I just think it's very similar, really. Like the more I dug into that, I was like, but people are just going to realize that ordinals, which are basically NFTs or Bitcoin, they're just scam, totally worthless. In the same way that they realize that monkey pictures on Ethereum were scams
Yeah.
and they're totally worthless now. People bought, like celebrities were buying them for millions of dollars, and now they're worth nothing. And it's those celebrities are not then going to go, oh, let me go and buy ordinal. Well, I guess they might. They might think they're different enough, but they're not going to go back and buy.
So it will kind of naturally just fizzle out.
Yeah, which already has happened like numerous times. So I think there's already been these cycles and phases of spammy pictures on Bitcoin. Like there was the Bitcoin logo in 2013, I think, and then there was Nelson Mandela image, and there's already been these things. And then there was people. Then it was basically like people trying to prove a point on, like, they spent thousands of dollars in 2015. This is when I was doing all the research for it, and so yeah, these same things have already happened, kind of thing. They run out of money. They realize, oh, no one's buying this anymore, and so they just stop doing it. Is that, and then Bitcoin kind of gets stronger because of it, because then it's what was happening. So what's that? 2017. That's when there was like the peak fees of Bitcoin, where it was like $100 per transaction. So every time someone sent Bitcoin on the base layer, which Lightning didn't even exist then, which
Yeah.
is why it was getting so expensive, and obviously Bitcoin's price was running up. But I think there was more and more random stuff, not in the same way as it is now, because obviously SegWit and then Taproot didn't even exist then, which is how people do it now on ordinals. But yeah, basically the fees just went so high because of random on-chain things that were happening, that SegWit was created, the Lightning Network was created, so people there could then move their transactions off there, which actually made the fees cheaper, which is kind of in some ways made Bitcoin more robust, more secure, more decentralized, more scalable.
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't know how we got thrown onto this.
Interesting.
So you've already hit record, have you? We go. How long has this been going on?
About 15 minutes ago.
What are we doing today?
Well, I think we're on the individual sovereignty section of the Bitcoin standard. Let's see how we yeah, this is a quite shortest chapter. Shall I bring it up? let me share this screen.
Which chapter is it?
I think it's chapter 8. What is Bitcoin good for? Individual sovereignty.
Well,
Shall I read or do you want to read?
I don't mind. Who read last time?
Yeah, you go for it then.
What did you read? Okay. My voice is really deep today though, so I don't know if that's going to be useful.
Sound like Barry White.
Yeah. So as the first form of digital cash, Bitcoin's first and most important value proposition is in giving anyone in the world access to sovereign-based money. Any person who owns Bitcoin achieves a degree of economic freedom which was not possible before its invention. Bitcoin holders can send large amounts of value across the planet without having to ask for the permission of anyone. Bitcoin's value is not reliant on anything physical anywhere in the world, and thus can never be completely impeded, destroyed, or confiscated by any of the physical forces of the political or criminal worlds. The significance of this invention for the political realities of the 21st century is that for the first time since the emergence of the modern state, individuals have a clear technical solution to escaping the financial clout of the governments they live under. Remarkably, the best description of the significance of such a technology can be found in a book written in 1997, a full 12 years before Bitcoin's creation, which foresaw a digital currency remarkably similar to Bitcoin and the impact it would have on transforming human society. The sovereign individual, James Davidson and William Rees Mogg. That's what's his son called?
Jacob Rees-Mogg.
Something like that. Yeah, Jacob Rees Mogg. He's got like a YouTube channel, hasn't he? It's worth
Yeah, it's
seeing
quite
some of
funny.
his stuff. It's just interesting. He's what's quite interesting, I think, as well, is that he still doesn't fully understand Bitcoin. He definitely sees it as potentially what his dad is talking about, but I still don't think he's fully orange pilled. If you know
He's
what I mean.
mentioned it quite a few times on his
Yeah,
videos.
he's aware of it.
I think he's into his gold and stuff.
Exactly. So it'd be interesting to see his opinion over time. So in the sovereign individual, they argue that the modern nation state, with its restrictive laws, high taxes, and totalitarian impulses, has grown to a level of burdensome repression of its citizens' freedom comparable to that of the church in the European Middle Ages, and just as ripe for disruption. Do you know much about the church in the European Middle Ages?
A bit, but not enough to comment on that. I think
So
it depends.
I'm guessing it's bad for all of these
I
points.
assume Saifedean is not like pro church in any way. It's like I was reading one of you know that Knut Svanholm.
Oh
You
yeah,
heard it? I was reading one of his books. It was I can't remember which one it was, but it was can't remember. It was some Bitcoin book he's written, but you could tell like I actually couldn't finish it because he was so he was just constantly making digs at religion, you know.
yeah,
And I was just like, bro, I get it. You're a really cool atheist. You
yeah,
know,
yeah,
you think
yeah.
religion is all religions are to control people. I get it, bro. Well done. This is a Bitcoin book. Like, do you know when you know when this
Funny
kind of
enough,
like
I've seen some of his stuff before, and I've got
yeah
that same. Like he is obviously he's got his opinion. Nothing
yeah
else can possibly be right, and so
this like
I never really like people like that. Do you know David
yeah
Ramsey from the personal finance
no
space?
no
Big guy in personal finance, American, but he's the opposite. He
right
uses his religion to sell, and it made me feel sick reading his book. You know, to the extent
right
it's like it's fine, you can have your religion and your
yeah
beliefs and whatever like that, but when he's basically implying I'm Christian, you're Christian. If you don't buy my book or if you don't buy my products, you're not Christian. That's effectively what he was saying repeatedly throughout the book. And I was like, I can't even finish this
yeah
dross. It's like
yeah.
absolute nonsense when someone has that sort of view.
I got that with this Canute book. I was just like,
The opposite way.
I could smell the resentment towards all religions. I was like, bro, this is meant to be a Bitcoin book. Like,
Yeah.
you know,
It's the same with like food. I
relax.
find like veganism and then paleo, and I'm just like,
Yeah,
just chill, man. Like you don't
yeah.
have to go so in on like on the other side. It's same with knots and cores. Like just chill, man. Like even both sides. Stop being.
I think
Try and see it from the other person's perspective. Stop being so.
Andreas
Like,
Antonopoulos a bit like that. I think I saw something with him recently, and he was like, I can't remember what dig he made, but he made a dig, and I was like, there's literally no need for that dig. What was it? It was something like he was like, oh, you know, we used to have, you know, these kind of fables and fairy tales, you know, and then the Bible. Oh, I've mentioned fairy tales, you know, like that kind. I was just like, okay, like
oh god,
this pre-written joke that is that just to dig at, you know, religious people. It's like
he is quite
relax.
quick. I've noticed with him though. Like he could be a stand-up comic, I reckon.
Yeah, he's very dry,
Andreas
isn't
for
he?
nerds.
But no, I don't know I don't know what they're on about here. Probably. I mean,
I think it's about to say, to be fair.
wasn't the church and the state like completely intertwined? So
Yeah,
the church was in charge rather than the
yeah,
church was the state, I guess. And you know, if you didn't go along with it, then you got exiled. I don't know.
yeah. I'm gonna just skim for the next bit. It's literally about. I should have just kept reading. With its heavy
Although
burden
although
of tax.
there was a time when the church was in charge and they didn't allow interest on loans, so that would have been a nice time to live in.
All right. So, do people use the bank then? Did the bank exist then?
I don't know how they did it, but
Because
I know that
otherwise, why would
usury
anyone
was.
give your money to someone else if you're not getting interest on it?
Don't know.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know that usury was outlawed, so you weren't allowed to charge interest on money
Interesting.
for a long period of time.
Fair enough. Shall I carry on?
Yeah.
So, with its heavy burden of taxation, personal control, and rituals, the costs of supporting the church became unbearable for Europeans, and newer, more productive political and economic forms of organisation emerged to replace it and consign it to insignificance. The rise of machinery, the printing press, capitalism, and the modern nation state birthed the age of industrial society and modern conceptions of citizenship. 500 years later, it is industrial society and the modern nation states that have become repressive, sclerotic, and burdensome, while new technology eats away at its power and racing to tear. Microprocessors will subvert and destroy the nation state, is the provocative thesis of the book. New forms of organization will emerge from information technology, destroying the capacity of the state to force citizens to pay more for its services than they wish. The digital revolution will destroy the power of the modern state over its citizens, reduce the significance of the nation state as an organizing unit, and give individuals unprecedented power and sovereignty over their own lives. We can already see this process taking place thanks to the telecommunication revolution, whereas the printing press allowed the poor of the world to access knowledge that was forbidden them and monopolized by the churches. It still had the limitation of producing physical books, which could always be confiscated, banned, or burned. No such threat exists in the cyber world, where virtually all human knowledge exists readily available for individuals to access without any possibility for effective government control or censorship.
Wait, what? So, whereas the printing press allowed the poor of the world, it still had the limitation of producing physical books, which could always be confiscated, banned, or burned. No such threat exists in the cyber world. What? Like, of
Well,
course,
yeah, I
censorship
mean,
exists.
pretty much for me and you, we could access any information that we want if we really wanted to. There is nothing that we can't access.
Yeah, there's still censorship though, and if people talk about the wrong things, then they'll get deplatformed, and they get. This is what Simon Dixon talks about: freedom of speech, but not freedom of reach. If you're saying
Yeah,
the wrong things, then it's quite easy to censor somebody. Just look around COVID.
yeah,
Any kind of criticism of the vax was just like people were just banned left, right, and center, or even this whole cancel culture. You know,
yeah. I think my understanding of what he's trying to say there is more like human knowledge.
right?
We
Got
can
you.
find out
Yeah,
any human knowledge,
got you. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That
but yeah,
makes
you're
sense.
right. He does
Yeah.
say without any possibility for effective government control or censorship. But I mean,
To be fair, the censorship still doesn't work that well. They can't
yeah, I mean,
stamp
there's
out
always
ideas.
workarounds. Like people in
Yeah,
China still own Bitcoin and use
yeah,
Bitcoin, so you can, if you want to enough to find out anything. Anyway, I guess maybe the one place would be like North Korea, where they don't even have access to the internet today, so
do they
they
not?
don't even know what they don't know, sort of thing.
There's
There,
no internet there.
yeah, I saw this an interview with this girl who was from there, and she was like explaining life there. It is really insightful, to be fair. It was crazy. It's mad because that's basically what she was saying as well. It's like you just don't know what you don't know because there is no
Mm,
internet. Like so you don't
yeah,
even you
that's
can't
crazy.
even like basic things that is known in the Western world.
That's
It's almost just
crazy.
like that is the world. North Korea
Mm.
is just the world. They can sort
What
of
what even what
teach you
I
whatever
don't
they
know
want.
much about it, but what even is that like? What even is it like is it a communist thing? Is it like a nationalist thing? Like because I know they've
Yeah,
got
it's
the
just it's that well, whoever, I can't remember his name, the guy
Kim
that's
is
in
not.
charge of.
Is it Kim Jong Un? Kim Jong Il? That's North
Yeah,
Korea.
could be, could be. Yeah, it's Kim
Because they
something.
don't let
Isn't it?
anybody in or out, do they?
They don't let anything in or
And
out
there's
by the
no
sounds of
internet,
it.
and it's just for the North Koreans.
Yeah, so
So
South
they
Korean is
they
basically Western, or well, not Western
chill,
world, but
yeah.
like same as the rest of the world.
So they're basically running like, but they don't have any internet. But surely the leaders have internet, or not?
I don't
No.
know. I don't
Right.
know.
That's great.
I
So they're
get. Yeah,
basically
I
running
guess they
like
do.
but it's a complete dictatorship, right?
Yeah,
So
basically.
it's kind
Yeah,
of like it's a an ethno state for North Koreans where you can't come in or leave. You can't. Nobody can visit and nobody can leave with no internet. That's mental. That's mental. That exists.
I know. It's that's it's very real still in today's age. Um, yeah, it is mad. Similarly, information is
I bet
allowing
there'll be.
trade.
I bet there'll be. I wonder if there's a Bitcoin node running in North Korea. Shall I just have a quick check? Oops, what have we done here?
Similarly, information is allowing trade and employment to subvert government restrictions and regulations, as best exemplified by companies like Uber and Airbnb, which have not asked for government permission to introduce their products successfully and subvert traditional forms of regulation and supervision. Modern individuals can transact with others they meet online via systems of identity and protection built on consent and mutual respect, without any need for resorting to coercive government regulations. The emergence of cheap forms of telecommunication online has also subverted the importance of geographic location for work. Producers of many goods can now choose to be domiciled anywhere they prefer, while the products of their labor, which are becoming increasingly informational and non material, can be transferred globally instantaneously. Government regulations and taxes are becoming less powerful as individuals can live or work where it suits them and deliver their work via telecommunication. So this is exactly the sovereign individual. Have you ever read it?
No.
But it's quite long and not an easy read. But this is what, and it's just so mind-boggling that this was written in 1997 because, I mean, the internet wasn't really even a thing then. It is hard for us to remember that because it's so ingrained in all human, like for you, it's absolutely baffling that North Korea cannot have the internet, whereas this time 25 years ago, that was pretty much the case for the world. No one had the internet. Well, it existed, but it was not really used very much at all until very late 90s, 2000s, and really only properly, I'd say, 2005 plus, really.
Yeah,
And
this
even
is
then,
like
it's changed so much.
this is the digital nomad kind of
Exactly. And
thing.
again, for people that just kind of like stay put wherever they live, I find this is whenever I go back to my hometown, I'm amazed at how little people know of just how different societies live and different people work. So like going and living in the Middle East and just being on this sort of international teaching scene and just seeing so many people in different walks of life. And then we traveled a lot to the Southeast Asia and stuff like that. I met so many digital nomads, people that they don't have a job. They don't live anywhere.
Yeah.
And it's baffling to most people. They go somewhere for a few months and then they go and move there for a few months. And they basically pay no tax because they have no residential place. So there's some sort of loophole on if you're,
Yeah.
it's pretty much, if you're like in 4 countries over the year and you split that as equally as possible to
Yeah,
like
I've heard of
90
that,
days
yeah.
each, then
Yeah.
there is no tax to pay. And
Yeah, 'cause
this already exists.
Yeah,
And like,
for
so
sure.
for my website that I was running the home gym space, I employed people for like, I had one in the Philippines, one from North Macedonia, one from Serbia, one in the UK, one in New Zealand, all doing slightly different things. And, like a couple of them, they traveled a lot and like they had different people that they worked for and did different things. And, sometimes they should be like, look, I'm going to be here. I'm not going to have any access to the internet, but I can still do the work. And then when I get back to the internet in like 2 weeks' time, I'll send you the work or whatever. So that's fine. No, no worries. I don't pay them health benefits. There's no tax or anything. They sort whatever. I pay them whatever they want, and they sort that out however they want, sort of thing. And it was really eye-opening doing that, and just realizing how this is already a thing, that people are already living like this. Whereas if you're just in your little town and you've never left, and this is your world, that sounds far-fetched, futuristic. Like, nah, people don't do that. But it's like, no, it does. This already exists. This is already a thing.
This is why mega rich have like multiple houses in different countries. They'll just bounce between them. They're like, right, I'm allowed 120 days. Yeah, exactly. It's like I'm allowed 100 odd days in this country. Then I've got to fly to my other house in Dubai. Then I've got to fly to my house in Brazil. And you just kind of spread it out. And then,
well, even for us, we could only be back in the UK. What is it, 90 days or something? So it's like 3 months, and we'd come back in the summer. Sometimes we'd have 10 weeks off. So if we came back the whole time, it kind of meant that you couldn't really come back at Christmas. So we'd usually go somewhere else. Like we'd go to like Thailand for a couple of weeks or something, and then come back, or stop in Cyprus, or something on the way home that was on the way, just so that we never came back for too long in the UK. And also we didn't want to be like, we wanted to see our friends and family, but we're often just living out of other people's houses, and it's not always that great. Whereas if you go on holiday somewhere, it's still your own thing, if you know what I mean. It's obviously lovely. You spend quality time with friends and family, but it's not, you always kind of feel like you're treading on their toes and interrupting their normal life, so you quickly feel like you outstay your welcome with some people.
It sounds like a good way of life if you can get it locked down. You just need to find remote work.
Yeah, exactly. But that's becoming more and more normal and common. But again, AI has just shifted it so much. I think we've probably got these next few years where you could, if you really, we spoke about it with like music and stuff before. If you, like you say, don't you have a friend or someone that that was a DJ and just bounces around and basically just plays AI music. So it's like that. There's probably these next few years where, if you know how to monetize something, you could use AI so much to your benefit. But then after that, like, as in, even for me, I just have one person that I still pay, and he still does a few odd bits of odd jobs and bobs, which AI can't quite do yet. But I'm sure AI is not far, or it probably can. I just haven't figured out how to do it yet. Whereas everything else I've pretty much replaced with AI. Already for a lot of the other stuff that I've done. So it's just, this patch of time probably before it's going to make it much harder for that digital nomad. A lot of those digital nomads that I met or spoke to were basically content writers, which was between 2017 to 2020, that was a massive thing. Like more and more people.
Now AI can just do that.
Exactly. Whereas now I don't need any content writers. I just set up templates and things with AI, and I can get it to do it better for cheaper. And then it's pretty much, just a little bit of tweaking here and there, but saves so much time. Anyway.
The whole tax thing is interesting because I was thinking about this earlier. At the minute, we can't really use Bitcoin as money without it being like a taxable event, which is very much like a restriction. It's an annoying restriction.
Yeah. So, but again, like you said, there are countries where you can. So
exactly. Well, you can see why people like Simon Dixon moved to Isle of Man.
Exactly.
People are moving to Dubai. People are moving to
Portugal. There's no capital gains tax on
Guernsey, that kind of thing. Yeah. So, but you'd have to first of all make you'd have to uplift your entire life, move there, stay there for a certain amount of time, and then you'd also have to have enough Bitcoin behind you to make it worth it. Do you know what I mean? So it's not going to be the average Joe move.
But again, it's just you find work or you find
Yeah.
ways of making money wherever it is that you move, kind of thing. So, yeah, I mean, I know so many friends now that have. I think we were probably like the first ones to leave the UK out of our group of friends. But then now, there's loads. I know like two couples, like good friends of ours in Dubai, one in Qatar, one in Saudi, with two in Saudi. You know, there's a lot in the Middle East.
Yeah. Why? What is it about the Middle East that people,
It's just
English people, is it the tax?
yeah, you can't. I think there's two massive things. The
There's
weather
literally
is
there's literally no
incredible
tax. That's it.
there's zero tax. Yeah, so
Zero tax.
which is
So everything you earn, you keep.
every penny we earned in Qatar was tax free. Every
That's
penny,
it's an
and it's not
interesting
even
concept. Like,
it's not even that. They paid for our accommodation. They paid for our return flight home. They paid for, you got like a travel allowance. It wasn't much, but it like contributed to a car. You know, it was like everything you earn was yours. That's it. And everything else is taken care of. And because we got accommodation allowance, we found somewhere where we were spending less than our accommodation allowance. That was just basically like topping up our salary as well. So it was we basically got paid a very similar amount as what you get paid in the UK, but it's just tax free. And then when you add on the accommodation allowance, it makes it's crazy. You know, it's what you could get there. So I think that's really the main thing. But well,
and
I
even
know,
because
and
you had
from people that I've met there, I know people now all over the world as well. It's like I know I've got good friends that are now in like Thailand, good friends that are in Malaysia, Colombia, Brazil, Italy. It's kind of because you then make friends there, and then they all, because they're all on that like traveling scene, and they're not all teachers, because you obviously make friends outside of teaching. You know, I played football and my wife played netball and stuff, and so you just make friends outside of teaching. And yeah, like we just met a few of them over Christmas as well, like when they were back over Christmas.
even though you always had a British passport and obviously you never gave up your British
Yeah.
citizenship.
Whereas that's the crazy thing. Americans, they still have to pay tax. I think after a certain amount of time, they don't have to, but
Right.
all the Americans were still paying tax on their income that they earn there.
In
I don't know if
Dubai.
it's the full amount or something, but it was weird.
That's crazy.
Basically, you can't leave America. Like they trap you into it. But yeah, I found it really fascinating learning everyone's story. And like certain like South Africans found it hard to go anywhere. South Africa, if you have a South African passport, there was another teacher, and we went on a ski trip with the school, and he wasn't allowed in with his South, and he'd even like done all this paperwork, spent like days filling out forms and stuff, and we got there, he couldn't get in. He did in the end, but we had to leave him. We had to leave him with all the other kids and all the go to the resort, and then he managed to sort it out. Like he got there really late that night. Don't know how, but it's just such a hassle for South African passports. So his wife
Right.
had a Swiss passport, so his kids had Swiss passports and they could go anywhere, no problem. But South African can't go anywhere.
Interesting.
We take it for granted, like
Yeah.
just basic travel and things, and it would be the same for lots of Colombia. My friend, his wife was Colombian. She couldn't move to Qatar. They ended up having to move to Italy, which is how we know people in Italy now.
Right.
So they couldn't. I don't know why. Colombian passport just was an issue moving to Qatar. Like she got a job and everything there, but they couldn't. The school couldn't sort it out in time, sort of thing. So anyway,
Interesting.
it is interesting. Like it's mad the world, like how different the world is. But basically, that book.
Yeah, I mean the concept of getting to keep your whole paycheck as an Englishman is
it's
insane.
ludicrous. I
Yeah,
know.
it's mental.
But then now for me, and then come back to the UK, I'm like, oh, what is all this stuff? Like,
Yeah.
what's council tax? Like had to set up a business here. Whereas when I was doing it in Qatar, you just sort of like do it on the side and it's still tax
Yeah.
free. You come back, you set up a business, and then like just the other day, I had to pay £450 and I don't even know what it was for. I genuinely don't know what that was for the
Yeah.
business. And there's like some 60 quid a year GDPR thing. There's just and they send through these letters with big red writing, like pay this within 24 hours, otherwise you'll get fined like way
Yeah.
more. And it just looks like a scam. And then so I have to
Yeah.
like then check with my accountant and be like, is this legit? You know,
Yeah.
do I actually have to do this? He's like, yeah, this is a thing. So you don't learn all this until you start doing it, and
Yeah. It's bullshit.
just everything. Like even just council tax. I forgot like how much that is. It's mad.
Yeah.
And national insurance and like all that sort of stuff. It's like what even is this getting used for? Like can I get some receipts of like what this has gone towards, please? Like, you know. But obviously it's not. But anyway, it's enough rambling. So
Well,
the emergence
don't get
of
me
cheap.
started on tax either.
Yeah, you've just been doing it now, haven't you?
Yeah.
The emergence of cheap forms of telecommunication online has also subverted the importance of geographic location for work. Producers of many goods can now choose to be domiciled anywhere they prefer, while the products of their labour, which are becoming increasingly informational and non-material, can be transferred globally instantaneously. Government regulations and taxes are becoming less powerful as individuals can live or work where it suits them and deliver their work via telecommunication. As more and more of the value of economic production takes the form of non-tangible goods, the relative value of land and physical means of production declines, reducing returns on violently appropriating such physical means of production. Productive capital becomes more embodied in the individuals themselves, making the threat of violently appropriating it increasingly hollow, as individuals productively becomes inextricably linked to their consent. When peasants' productivity and survival was tied to the land that they did not own, the threat of violence was effective in getting them to be productive to benefit the landowner. Similarly, industrial society's heavy reliance on physical productive capital and its tangible output made expropriation by the state relatively straightforward, as the 20th century so bloodily illustrated. But as the individual's mental capacities become the prime productive force of society, the threat of violence becomes far less effective. Humans can easily move to jurisdictions where they are not threatened or can be productive on computers without governments being able to even know what they are producing. Yeah, agreed. There was one final piece in the puzzle of digitization that had been missing, and that is the transfer of money and value. Again, agreed. The faff to send some people money who are living abroad,
Yeah.
Wise has become the best way of doing it now. But when I started, that didn't exist. Like, well, it did, but not in the same, not as good as it was now. Payoneer, oh my god, that was horrible, horrible to send money. It was like hours
What's it
of
called?
work. It's called
Payoneer.
Payoneer, and that's
Payoneer. I've
what
heard of
people
it.
were
Yeah.
using around that
Yeah.
time mainly. Obviously PayPal, but PayPal takes loads of fees.
Yeah.
I use Stripe for like digital payments. Like even now, the amount of fees they take is insane. It's like, where's my
Yeah.
money gone? Like,
Yeah.
what is this? Like, it's just bananas. And so it's just, you can see the use of Bitcoin everywhere.
Yeah.
Even as information technology could subvert geographic and governmental controls and restrictions, payments continue to be heavily controlled by governments and the state-enforced banking monopolies. Like all government-enforced monopolies, banking had for years resisted innovations and changes that benefit the consumers and restricts their ability to extract fees and rents. Agreed.
Yeah.
This was a monopoly that grew ever more burdensome as the global economy spread and became more global. Davidson and Rees-Mogg predict with remarkable what's that word? Prescience?
Prescience.
prescience,
like accuracy, I think, or
oh yeah,
like precognition, pre-seeing it,
prescience, the form that the
prophecy.
new digital monetary escape hatch will take. Cryptographically secured forms of money independent of all physical restrictions that cannot be stopped or confiscated by government authorities. While this seems like an outlandish prediction when the book was written, it is now a vivid reality already utilized by millions worldwide, though the significance of it is not widely understood. Bitcoin and cryptography in general are defensive technologies that make the cost of defending property and information far lower than the cost of attacking them. It makes theft extremely expensive and uncertain, and thus favors whoever wants to live in peace without aggression toward others. Bitcoin goes a long way in correcting the imbalance of power that emerged over the last century when the government was able to appropriate money into its central banks and thus make individuals utterly reliant on it for their survival and well-being. The historical version of sound money gold did not have these advantages. Gold's physicality made it vulnerable to government control. That gold could not be moved around easily meant the payment using it had to be centralized in banks and central banks, making confiscation easy. With Bitcoin, on the other hand, verifying transactions is trivial and virtually costless, as anyone can access the transactions ledger from any internet connected device for free. While Bitcoin scaling will likely require the use of third-party intermediaries, this will be different from gold settlement in several important aspects. First, the dealings of the third parties will ultimately all be settled on a publicly accessible ledger, allowing for more transparency and auditing. Bitcoin offers the modern individual the chance to opt out of the totalitarian, managerial, Keynesian, and socialist,
Socialist.
socialist states. It is a simple technological fix to the modern pestilence of governments surviving by exploiting the productive individuals who happen to live on their soil. If Bitcoin continues to grow to capture a larger share of the global wealth, it may force governments to become more and more a form of voluntary organization, which can only acquire its taxes voluntarily by offering its subjects services they would be willing to pay for.
Let's hope so. That's crazy to. It's a crazy thought that if it continues to grow, it will force governments to become more and more a form of voluntary organization, which can only acquire its taxes voluntarily
So
by
just to
offering its
like
subjects.
to dig into that point a bit more, because I remember hearing this sort of thing and just
It'd
being
be
like,
like,
nah,
do you want to go to war? No. Okay, we don't have to pay tax. Do you want to give billions of dollars to Israel? No. Okay, well, there we go. You don't have to. Whereas now it's like, let's just print more cash and just do whatever we want with it.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's yeah. I remember hearing this multiple times though, and just being like, nah, this isn't really possible. But I think if you really think about this, you sort of like dig in a few layers here. I think the thing to understand is that even if a certain government, so even let's say the UK does what is it Holland did recently or talking about of like
Unrealized
unrealized
gains. Yeah.
gains tax, so say the UK does that, say they make the tax more, say they keep doing all of these stupid things and not
Yeah.
embracing it, blah blah blah, what would happen? Already is happening more and more. Like I've just anecdotally said, for my group of friends, they're not high, rich, wealthy people, and that's
Yeah.
happening even more so with high net worth
Yeah.
individuals, wealthy people. They are leaving the UK quicker and quicker. Like it's
Yeah.
happening more and more. And then
Yeah.
what happens? The places those they go to, such as like I've already hinted, the Middle East, probably like Southeast Asia, South America, a lot of those sort of things. Those places that allow favorable tax rules and living conditions and safety is super safe in the Middle East.
Yeah.
I know people hear about war and bombings, like it's so safe that you can go to a coffee shop, leave your laptop, go to the toilet, come back in half an hour, your laptop's still there. It's like
Yeah.
it's ridiculously safe because you don't want to mess with it, sort of thing. And everyone that lives there is kind of, there's no homeless people because it's just this fake little bubble. But anyway, the point is, those nations then become even better, and they can become even stronger. They become like the powerhouses. They become the places that everyone wants to be, and so people then move there more and more, which makes the other places that are leaving worse and worse. And we can see this playing out. You don't need me to say that. Like, this is already happening, and it's just going to happen at a quicker and quicker rate, unless someone puts the big boy pants on and realizes what's actually going on and learns what's actually happening and says, no, we want to be the nation where we want places to come to. And so this is what everyone thought was going to happen with Trump coming in, but it obviously hasn't to the extent that people think. And I don't know, it's just going to be interesting to watch over the next few years anyway, because it's going to happen out in real time. I've lost where I am.
The political vision of Bitcoin can be understood.
I think I've got the wrong page. Let me just read it off here. The political vision of Bitcoin can be understood from a closer examination of the ideas of the cypherpunk movement from which it sprung. In the words of Timothy May, the combination of strong, unbreakable public key cryptography and virtual network communities in cyberspace will produce interesting and profound changes in the nature of economic and social systems. Crypto anarchy is the cyberspatial realization of anarcho-capitalism, transcending national boundaries and freeing individuals to make the economic arrangements they wish to make consensually. Crypto anarchy is liberating individuals from coercion by their physical neighbors who cannot know who they are on the net, and from governments. The libertarians' strong crypto provides the means by which government will be avoided. The vision of anarcho-capitalism May describes is the political philosophy developed by the American economist of the Austrian school, Murray Rothbard. In Ethics of Liberty, Rothbard explains libertarian anarcho-capitalism as the only logical, coherent implication of the idea of free will and self-ownership. On the other hand, consider the universal status of the ethic of liberty and the natural right of person and property that obtains under such an ethic. For every person at any time or place can be covered by the basic rules. Ownership of one's own self, ownership of the previously unused resources which one has occupied and transformed, and ownership of all titles derived from that basic ownership, either through voluntary exchanges or voluntary gifts. These rules, which we might call the rules of natural ownership, can clearly be applied, and such ownership defended regardless of the time or place, and regardless of the economic attainments of the society. It is impossible for any other social system to qualify as universal natural law. For if there is any coercive rule by one person or group over another, and all rule partakes of such, what's that say? Hegemony?
Hegemony or hegemony. I think it means like power over a certain area.
Then it is impossible to apply the same rule for all. Only a rulerless, purely libertarian world can fulfill the qualifications of natural rights and natural law, or, more important, can fulfill the conditions of a universal ethic for all mankind. The non-aggression principle is the foundation of Rothbard's anarcho-capitalism, and on its basis, any aggression, whether carried out by government or individual, can have moral justification. Bitcoin, being completely voluntary and relentlessly peaceful, offers us the monetary infrastructure for a world built purely on voluntary cooperation, contrary to popular depictions of anarchists as hoodie-clad hoodlums. Bitcoin's brand of anarchism is completely peaceful, providing individuals with the tools necessary for them to be free from government control and inflation. It seeks to impose itself on nobody, and it grows and it succeeds. And if it grows and succeeds, it will be for its own merits as a peaceful, neutral technology for money and settlement, not through it being forced on others. In the foreseeable future, as it still As it is still a very low level of general adoption, Bitcoin provides a cost-effective option for people needing to get around government restrictions on the banking sector, as well as to save wealth in a liquid store of value not subject to government inflation. If it were to be adopted widely, the cost of on-chain Bitcoin transactions is likely to rise significantly, as discussed ahead in the section on scaling, making it less feasible for individuals to carry out the uncensorable on-chain transactions to get around government rules and regulations. In that situation, however, the wide adoption of Bitcoin will have a far larger positive effect on individual freedom by reducing government's ability to finance its operation through inflation. It was government money in the 20th century that allowed for the birth of the heavily interventionist managerial state, with totalitarian and authoritarian tendencies. In a society run on hard money, government impositions that are not economically productive are unlikely to survive for long, as there is little incentive to continue financing them. And that's, as I was reading that, it made me think, not only will people flee the UK or these places where these unreasonable measures are put in place, but
Yeah.
what is also already possible is the way to use Bitcoin in a way that can't be tracked back to you. Again, not financial advice, not tax advice or anything like that, but it is already possible to earn Bitcoin in a way that no one knows it's you, and then to use it in a way that no one really knows it's you, and to then spend it in a way that nobody knows it's you. And as I keep saying recently, the one thing that people need to find is a way to buy food.
Yeah.
If you can buy food other than shelter, which is going to be hard to do with Bitcoin, but not impossible if you can find
Well,
a landlord or
you can
something.
use things like Bitrefill and buy Airbnb, stuff. If you it's a bit there's a few hoops to jump through, but you can do that now. If
Interesting. Mm.
or a landlord, yeah. I mean, if somebody's renting out the house, I mean, you'd be like, yeah, man, just pay me in
Yeah.
Bitcoin a month.
And I think it has to be done on a local,
Local, yeah,
small scale, not
yeah.
this big mass
Private and
adoption.
local, private and local. Yeah.
When everyone thinks of Bitcoin adoption, they think of, oh, when's the government going to allow me to do this, or when's someone else going to accept this, or whatever. It's like, no, you go and find someone that you can buy food from and ask them if you can buy that with Bitcoin. Get them set up with wallet of Satoshi, and there
Yeah,
you can do it.
yeah,
You might be a 10-minute walk from being able to do this if you just
yeah,
think about it. That's the
yeah,
thing that's crazy about it, is that it doesn't have to be this massive thing. You just need to find one. And again, with your house, if you rent it, have you spoken to the landlord and see if they accept Bitcoin? And if not, would they be interested in it? And like figure out how it would benefit them. Or you might be one conversation away from significantly moving your own life onto a Bitcoin standard, which again then can be totally in a way that's completely out of government control or regulation. And it's not a million miles away for most people, basically. I think the harder part is figuring out how to earn Bitcoin for most people,
yeah.
which I think we're both in the process of figuring out as well. So
Yeah, I mean, let's say there's a local farm shop and you convince them to start accepting Bitcoin. Well, you've started off by spending your Bitcoin, but that person in the shop has just started to earn Bitcoin. So by you spending it, there's one more person in society that is now earning it.
exactly,
So it's
there you go.
yeah.
That's interesting. Or if you've got a landlord
So
that you
so
start,
so
they would, maybe you are a landlord and you could ask for
people
tenants to pay you in Bitcoin, sort of thing. So
people will start earning in Bitcoin when people start spending in Bitcoin. But again, in the UK,
that's
as we've
interesting.
established, like this, it's not as easy to spend it as it is in Dubai, for example, because of all this tax stuff and whatnot.
Yeah, but again, not tax advice. There are ways
Ways around. Exactly. Yeah.
which, yeah, is not tax advice or any
No,
financial advice.
nobody will be
But
watching it this 1 hour
exactly,
in
no one's
anyway,
even
Mike.
watching now.
Don't
But
worry.
I think the bigger point though is that it it doesn't even necessarily have to be. Oh, I don't know. I don't know what I was going to say then. I thought I had a really big point then, and it's gone out of my head.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, spend your Bitcoin. This is where I've got to now as well. It's like use it as money. You know.
Oh yeah, I was going to say, with the current rules and stuff now in most places, it's not that unreasonable. Whereas I think, you know, unrealized capital gains tax
That's
is
mental. That's crazy.
absolutely insane.
Yeah.
If the country said that, then I think that's just like,
I
nah.
mean, first of
I'm
all,
either
like,
leaving or finding a workaround if
yeah, I
that
mean,
happens, sort of thing. It's
that would just mean that nobody would even bother investing long term. And the only people that would want to live here would be the people that've got no interest in starting a business or, investing.
I
It would
mean,
literally just be benefit people on benefits. It'd
exactly.
be,
It's an absolute. It's just like stamping the country. This country is fucked. That is
yeah,
literally what's happening when that happens. There's no other way around that. It's like you cannot have anything.
yeah,
You're not allowed to own anything. Basically,
yeah.
you will own nothing and be happy. That's what
That's
that
literally
is.
that. Yeah,
And so, and again, most people might think, oh yeah, but if you leave, they're going to tax you when you leave. Not if you just remember 12 words in your head, or there's
yeah,
there's so many workarounds with Bitcoin, which is there's nothing else that has that workaround. Literally nothing else. You can't smuggle gold bars through the airport. Well, I guess you might if you you might be a way
with
to do
enough
that.
lube, you probably could.
I know you can take jewelry, so if you can
Yeah,
buy gold jewelry or something, but obviously it depends on how much it is that you're taking. And if you're a multi-millionaire, you're not gonna just got gold bangles going up all over your body everywhere. Yeah, so
right. I'm gonna have to call it a day. I've got an appointment with the gymnasium.
nice.
Right then. I'll see you again next time, brother.
See you in a bit.
Peace.